Welcome to the Up Arrow Podcast with William Harris, featuring top business leaders sharing strategies and resources to get to the next level. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everyone, I'm William Harris. I'm the founder and CEO of Element and the host of the Up Arrow Podcast, where I feature the best minds in e-commerce to help you scale from 10 million to 100 million and beyond as you up arrow your business and your personal life. Here's something that sounds completely backwards. One of the biggest growth unlocks for the Fidget Game was accepting lower ROAS. Not higher, lower. Today's guest, Brandi Dugal, built a multi-million-dollar e-commerce company, but almost lost when an employee ordered 5 years of inventory by mistake. Most people would panic. She did too. But that pressure forced her to rethink how she approached Meta, how she thought about creative, and how she measured success. And what she discovered is something I think a lot of DTC brands still get wrong. Brandi, welcome to the Up Arrow Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you. I always like to get a shout out to the people who put wonderful people in touch. And so this one goes out to the inimitable Sarah Carasona, DTC growth consultant extraordinaire. Thank you, Sarah, for putting us in touch.
Awesome. Sarah's a badass. She is a badass. She has a big part of a lot of my success with the brand as well, because she has helped. Yeah.
No, that's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually the name of her company right now, right? Too, isn't it? The BA or whatever. So
yes. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Last interruption, then we'll dig right into the good stuff because I got a lot that I want to talk to you about. This episode is brought to you by Element. Element is an award-winning advertising agency optimizing e-commerce campaigns around profit. In fact, we've helped 13 of our customers get acquired, with the largest one selling for nearly $800 million and one that IPO'd. You can learn more on our website at element.com, which is spelled ELUMYNT.com. Okay. Your ops person built a forecast that basically said, congrats, you've got 5 years of inventory. What's going on in your mind at that time?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think for like 3 months straight, I literally would go in the shower at the end of the day and I would just lay on the floor and cry on the shower. Like I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was just in such a hard place. So what happened is we aired on Shark Tank. We did over $1 million in a day on Shark Tank when we aired. And then the next year she forecasted the same amount for products that, our hero products are constantly shifting based on what's working with Meta. And then she forecasted not only that amount, but like that we were going to 10X or something. I don't know what was going through her head. I don't understand. But anyways, I was so intensely busy because we were growing 100% year over year. We really were. And I just kind of let it go. It was the first time in the business I was like, okay, I can let something go off my plate. The first time, what a lesson. Oh. And, trying to delegate and build trust and let go of things. And then, I think there was a moment where I was like, how much stock do we have? And it was 3 to 5 years for 20 products. Wow. And so I just cried, but then I was like, this is do or die. Like, cause our storage fees were so insanely high on Amazon, and they were so insanely high. Actually, we were just all with Amazon at the time. So you can imagine Amazon has crazy storage fees. And then someone told me a really important thing where they were like, this is all psychological. People are spending $100,000 a day on Meta and they're making it work. Like your ad account looks amazing. Your ROAS is stunning. You can scale. And the problem is you have to find the right people on Meta that can scale, right? I think there's good media buyers for like 1 to 5 million. And if you want to go past that, I think you need a new media buyer that can really take you to the next level. So, yeah.
That is some very good advice from a very good friend. I have to laugh. I've got 3 daughters, 16, 13, and 10. And we were playing a game the other day, like just getting to know you kind of stuff, talking as a family. And one of the questions was, who gives you the best advice in your life? And the oldest one thought for a little bit, and she goes, probably myself. I was like, that's the most teenage thing you could possibly have said at this moment. But you didn't give yourself this advice. Who gave you this advice? Like, where did this come from?
Hey, you're gonna think this is hilarious because this is such a moment. So I had to let go of that person that made the mistake. But this is like a full circle moment. Then someone contacted me, a founder, to hire her as a reference. And he is the one that gave me the advice, because I talked to him and he was doing an insane amount a year in revenue. And he was like, I'm looking to hire her. And I was like, absolutely not. Do not. There was just a lack of detail. And I think in anything in operations, you need someone who is super detail oriented. Mm-hmm. And he was like asking more questions about the business. And then he was like, listen, it's all psychological, whether you spend 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 a day on Meta, it's all psychological. And then that's where I was like, F it. Like, I'm just going to go full force. And we did. And
okay. But like easier said than done, because a lot of people are like, yeah, I'd love to go from, 1,000 a day to $10,000 a day on Meta. And maybe they'll scale from 1,000 a day to 1,500 a day or to 2,000 a day. Yeah. And then their ROAS starts tanking and they go, no, we got to pull back. And it's like, they'll do it for a day or two. And then they're like, okay. And they get cold feet and then they pull back. Like, what changed in your mind to allow you to go from those numbers to those next numbers?
Well, let me be super clear. This was 6 months of hell trying to scale. So it was 6 months of really, I went through 4 agencies in a span of 6 months. It was really, really, really difficult. But for the unlock for us was creative. We started testing just an insane amount of different creatives and hooks. That's what really allowed us to scale, I would say. But in my mind, I was like, I will bend reality right now because I'm in survival. So I was doing anything I possibly could. But I would say creatives are a huge unlock for you to scale if you just keep testing and iterating and use Meta Ads Library and look through brands and what they're doing. Even if it's not relevant to your brand, there's something you can learn from every brand that's doing well in e-com.
Yeah, there's so much there, right?
Yeah.
I do want to get into the creative. There's a lot that I want to get into because you're doing some interesting stuff there. But you also had to measure things differently. Like, this is one of the things, I think you told me that you had to accept a lower ROAS.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't like that idea. They're like, no, I want a higher ROAS. Like, how did you switch that thinking and how did that actually benefit the business? Like, what changed there?
Okay. So it was really interesting because I decided to look at everything through MER, right? Marketing efficiency ratio. So the overall ROAS of the business, basically. And before, I was really just like keeping Amazon in its separate little bucket, and I was keeping Shopify in its separate bucket, and I wasn't really thinking about MER. And then once we did start thinking of that, it was a massive unlock because our ROAS on Amazon was doing so well, like it was so high. We actually started pulling spend from Amazon, and we realized there was so much overflow from Meta, like the halo effect from Meta to Amazon. And so we just started pouring more money into Meta and lowering Amazon, and we became so much more efficient as well. So there was a lot of thinking of it like that. So yeah, our ROAS is so significantly lower on Meta now. I would have, 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh my gosh, we're going to die. This company, if I saw my numbers today, but the MER is healthy. And that's all that really matters now for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a systems thinking. There's a lot of silos that get built. And it's one of the biggest things we talk about on here often. Inventory not talking to marketing, finance not talking to marketing, and all these things just not being in the same boat. But even like you said, like D2C and Amazon and retail and wholesale, like all of these also talking together. It reminds me of, there'll be like drug studies or something. They'll say something like, people who took this medication had 50% less heart attacks. And it's like, well, that sounds really good for a moment, right? Like in this silo, but then you're like, but they had like 300 times more just all-cause mortality. And you're like, okay, well, this is not good then. Like, if my goal is to not die, then I still shouldn't take this, right? Like, it's good if I don't want to die of a heart attack, but it's bad if I want to die prematurely, right?
That's a perfect analogy. That's perfect.
And we see this. And so it's like, when you look at this, you're like, great. You're like, within the platform, high ROAS sounds really good. But if you're looking at like the whole system and you're saying, but how is this impacting Amazon? How is Amazon impacting this? How is inventory impacted this? What's finance doing with this? And when you start to look at these things, you start to see how they all fit together. And it allows you to potentially look at a lower ROAS as being a better thing. MER being a really, really, really good metric. Now, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot because we didn't talk about this either. Is there, when you're looking at MER right now, do you like to look at it as we sometimes use the number of like MTB, months to break even of 0, where it's like you need to break even on first purchase, or you're saying I'm willing to lose money on first purchase in order to be profitable on purchase 2, 3, 4?
No, we have to be profitable on first
Okay.
purchase. Yeah.
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 Some
Yeah.
brands,
I mean,
some
we're not a
brands do.
subscription we're not a subscription brand, and we our AOV is really high because a lot of people order bundles. So it's different. Like our
Mhm.
retention numbers are different, and our returning customer numbers usually will come back like a year later. They're not
Sure.
coming back more, more often. So yeah, for
Mhm.
us, we have to be profitable on first purchase.
In your mind, what is the danger of optimizing for ROAS, like too high of a ROAS?
For too high of a ROAS, what's the danger if you're optimizing for too high is that I think you're going to get really stuck in scaling. I think that's what's like, you're really gonna stop yourself from scaling to the next level. Because I get it. It's very nerve wracking when you first start a company. Every dollar you put out, you're like, I need to make this back to survive and to like build the next product or to hire that next employee. But yeah, you kind of have to. I wouldn't, to be honest, I don't know if I would be at the level I'm at right now if it wasn't for that mistake, because I was in do or die. I had to push it.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for it now. And I see the opportunity of scaling further and further, and how that, but I would say from going from 5 million a year to 10 million a year was like, that was a really hard jump and a really hard thing to do.
Almost every episode, there's some kind of a thing that people say. They're like, I'm not sure if we were going to survive this thing. And it was horrible and nerve wracking. And I'm on the floor crying in the shower.
Yes,
and then,
yes.
but like, that's the catalyst that they look back and they say, I'm so thankful for that moment, because without that moment, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I love looking at life that way, to realize that these moments that we're the most afraid of are usually the moments that unlock the thing that we wanted as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that goes to absolutely everything in life. It's facing, I'm really big into therapy, and I think our personal development is really closely tied to just the growth of the company as well. It's like little unlocks that I make in my personality. I see, the business unlocks in some ways. And I think the more we like go into the pain and the trauma and the things that are so uncomfortable, the more free we become. And I think that goes into all areas of life.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the creative then, because that's one of the things that you said, like, that's like the biggest unlock for you. So step 1, you have to be willing to look at meta a little bit differently in how you're interpreting the numbers. Step 2, though, even if you look at it, but you don't have the creative that you need to be able to spend at that level, that's not good. So like within the creative, what specifically did you start doing to make sure that you had the right creative to be able to spend at the level you wanted to spend?
So what we did is, it's a little unique for us because we have many hero products, and there's a lot of controversy. A lot of people like being like, just focus on 2 hero products over and scale your whole brand by those 2 products. My thing is, I would love to have 10 hero products. It adds more complexity to the business, but let's keep going. Like, let's keep finding more hero products. So what we do in our meta ads, like on the back end, is each product is in its own campaign. And we're just like constantly throwing many different angles and hooks and, we do our podcast ads, we have our UGC ads, we have founder ads, we have Yapper ads, and me just talking, we have all different types of things, and we throw it for that product and we see what works. So we're just doing many different variations. Eventually, after a while, we know that this one angle works really, really well, and we just keep doing that angle in different formats. So, there's different, the angle format, I know all the nuances between it. I still get confused with it all. It's like endless with the creative flywheel talking about these little things. But honestly, if I'm being like super honest, we just threw stuff at the wall to see what would stick. It wasn't anything like super sophisticated.
But like you're telling me that it's not super sophisticated, but like the approach you're taking is still very sophisticated. I like the idea of like the multiple products and the different, like each product in its own category or its own campaign. Are these products, is there a significant difference in their price point or margin?
Yeah, No,
No.
no.
Okay.
So it's all of our games are mostly $29.99.
Okay.
So yeah, they're all around the same price point, which
Mhm.
is interesting, except for one game that's $10 more. But they all perform kind of around the same.
Mhm.
We don't really
Mhm.
see a difference between the two price points.
I like that you segmented them out, even though there's not like a difference in the goal. So I will say that we segment a lot of campaigns out if there's a difference between price points or margin or something like that. You can have two products that are $100, but maybe the margin
Yeah.
on one's 50 and the margin on the other is 25. And so I have a very different goal for what I want to acquire those on, right? Or you've got
Yeah.
an $800 product, you've got a $20 product, very different goals. I haven't done that for ones that are the same price, same margin. I think that's interesting. I'd like to try that out sometime.
Yeah.
But I like that approach because it allows you to, like you said, scale that particular thing and just continue to see what's working for that.
Yeah.
Um,
And then when
that
it starts to die, like the creative fatigue starts to die for that product, we know, like, the creative team is immediately informed, like, we need to test more creative for this, right?
Mhm,
Because
mhm,
I have so many hero products and I want so many hero products. We have to kind of keep those going, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
the fatigue will happen. So
mhm.
it kind
Yeah,
of signals to
inevitably.
us. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like you said, you've got like these different angles you're going through. Some that are UGC, some that are podcasts, some that are Yapper ads, which I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier that you and I are verbal processors, and so
Yes.
I like the idea of Yapper ads.
Yeah.
When you're trying to figure out the right angle for getting this, is there somebody, whether it's you or somebody on your team, that's trying to think through, let's just say, like behavioral science tactics, and you're getting into it and you're like, let's use the Zeigarnik effect and see how that happens to impact things? Or
Yeah, and actually, we have now we're more sophisticated because I have such a wonderful team behind this. But now we have a tagging system. So actually, like our name of our meta ad, like I don't like it is like crazy long, and we have like the angle in there, so it's really easy every month to see our creatives and be like, okay, this angle consistently works because it's been tagged, and we're tracking like what our top 5 performers are, and we top 5 performer ads and also top 5 new ads we always look at as well, because that's really helpful for us to be like, oh, this new thing we tested is actually starting to work. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, like we're tracking the angles really closely, and then we know, for example, I'm trying to think, it's like product aware is a really important thing in our ads, is making customers product aware of what we're talking about. And then solution aware is, I think, like our second. So we're going through being product aware, if that makes sense.
it does. Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate that idea of like really long names for ads. We do actually do the same thing as well, and it's like
Yeah.
this really, really, really long name. It gives
Very
you the ability
complex.
to kind of. It does, but it gives you the ability now, when we bring everything into Power BI, which is how we evaluate things, but it gives you the ability to segment across campaigns, across different products. Even how does this work just in general for our audience or this audience or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of behavioral science tactics that we're using, that we're looking at things. There are, like you said, the different customer personas, and it's like how you're looking at the different things there. There's the style and the format, like you said, whether you're talking, if it's UGC or you're talking about if there's a podcast or Yapper.
Yeah.
But then we're even getting into like some interesting things where it's like, this one uses industry jargon and the other one doesn't, right? Or it's like this
Yes,
one, like
yes,
little
yes.
nuanced things.
Nuances,
Like how,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And for us, we can get super educational, right? We could be like, this teaches phonemic awareness and phonological, like we can keep going on about that. And then, but then we're really aiming at teachers, but we're the experts, because my team is full of teachers, and the teachers also do the ads for us. But then if we just make it really basic for a parent to understand, right? That's different. And we have to keep going back and forth actually with it, because sometimes it works when we're using all the teacher jargon, and sometimes it doesn't, because it just goes way over people's head. It's interesting. But
That's a lot
is,
of content.
I think
Go ahead.
copy is the biggest lever by far.
Really? Because a lot of people don't say that. And I agree with you for a lot of this, but I want to hear why you think copy is such a big lever.
Well, first of all, I just left a mastermind, and I've always thought copy is the biggest lever, but he literally started his presentation. He's like doing incredible, this guy. And he was like, copy is your number one lever for meta ads. And he is doing like just AI voiceovers basically with B-roll, and he's doing 5 to 8 minute ads. That's what's performing the best. Long form.
Wow.
And you know, it was really interesting. He was like, I hire full-time copywriters. Like Claude can get you 80% there, but it's not going to get you all the way there. And I believe that. I really do. I think copy is super important. It's storytelling, because it's storytelling. Storytelling is what engages humans. It's what people need to understand a story to be able to understand what they are purchasing or what is going on in your video.
So I really appreciate good copy. I think that good copy also allows you to test a lot of different things to see like concepts, ideas, and hooks. Preston Rutherford was on the podcast. If you know Chubbies, if you remember the shorts brand.
Yes, I do.
And he talked about hiring, I think if I remember correctly, hiring comedians off of Reddit or something like that, or Upwork or somewhere. It's like comedians who are like, I need, or it's like Nextdoor. I don't remember what it had. It's like just comedians because they're funny. And it's like that ability to tap into like humor. It's like you could come up with something. I'm sure you've done it with AI. It's like you ask AI to come up with a joke, and you realize just how far AI is from being that intelligent, right? It's just not funny.
Exactly. Yes, we still need our human touch. I really do. I think we still have to add that human touch in, and yeah, I think it's important. I think storytelling is just it's important for all of us.
So you're making a lot of ads. Like how many ads roughly per week are you trying to launch?
So we're doing 100. Okay, so we're doing, let me just get this right. We're doing 30 unique ad concepts. Is it 30 unique ad concepts? No, 40 unique ad concepts a month right now. And then like three, variations per, So that would be, like 120 a month.
That's a lot to come up with. How are you structuring the ability to come up with that many new things? Because eventually it's, sometimes people are just like, man, I've got 10 really great things, and then after that I run out of ideas.
Well, I wish we could do more. I think we could do more. It's because I have so many different products, right? I have my math products that teach financial literacy. I have my math product to teach multiplication and division. I have my literacy games that teach comprehension or sight words, whatever. So for us, it feels endless. Like it does. So that's where we don't really struggle with that. And then we can take, for example, Supermarket Squishy Spree teaching financial literacy. We can do it a Yapper ad, Founder ad, Yapper. We can do a podcast ad on it. Like there's so many things. UGC we can do just for that one game. So there's a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell that I really like. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or had a chance to read it. But he talks about like all the things that make people statistical outliers. And one of them talks about this idea of doing pottery. And there's two groups. And like the one group, they were like, okay, 30 days you're going to spend working on like this perfect vase. And the other group, they're like, we want you to make as many vases as you possibly can over the next 30 days. And the group that did that ended up with a significantly better vase at the end of the 30 days versus the masterpiece. And I've heard musicians talk about that as well, that they're like, what's interesting is you think that maybe you have like this, magnum opus that you're going to write, and you're like, this is going to be like my best piece ever. But the reality is you actually get better at writing even better stuff by writing more and more and more. And it's like, I think they publish like 1% of the songs that they actually write half the time. And I think creative is the same way, where people are worried that like, I can't create enough. The reality is when you get into the habit of being creative, you get even more creative and more inspired, and you just can't produce all of the stuff that you actually have rattling around in your brain. Yeah, that is once again another good analogy. I would say that out of the 100 ads that we test, maybe only 9 work.
Sure.
So it's kind of that, but I agree with that. The more, I'm a big believer. I mean, I have tons of games and I'm continuing to do product dev. I don't get stuck on one particular game. I'm like, let's keep building more and more and more games. So I'm a big believer in that theory. I like that.
So only 9 or 10 work. Is the goal to find the winner, or to build a portfolio of like a portfolio of really good ads that are now diverse and creative, so you're keeping a lot of them live?
To be honest, the goal is to find the winner.
Yeah.
That's the biggest goal, is to find the winner, and then that's it, and scale it from there. Because for us, because it's by product, right? We want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we keep those products continuously going and going and going and moving inventory, because I don't want to be stuck with overstock again,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're selling 20,000 of something a month and all of a sudden those ads die, right? We need to keep finding winners to keep that going.
Are you looking at things that are early indicators of success, or are you pretty much just looking at whether or not they're driving purchases? Like you look at thumb stop rate or things like that to say like, hey, this is likely going to work. Keep scaling it. Let's give it a little bit of time.
Yes, I think that's what I can't say for sure. I have a phenomenal media buyer, but I'm pretty sure that's like he gets the indication and that's why he scales. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you found that there are patterns that seem to work across all of your products? That you're like, okay, you're testing all these other ideas, but you're like, these are a couple of patterns that just seem to consistently work no matter what product we're trying to test out.
I would say, well, I can tell you the common denominator, and
Okay.
it's me. It's me.
Really?
I'm in every single ad right now that is winning. It has
Why?
been really, I know well, I don't know. I don't know if it's because I've become the face of the brand and people find there's recognition in that. We have tried so hard to get me out of that. But it seems that, yeah, just me talking honestly, really naturally and really authentically about the games. And I'm super passionate about every single thing we're doing. I really feel like people feel that. Like something energetically can be relayed, I think, to people when you're passionate about your products. So it's kind of crazy.
Completely
but
agree.
yeah.
So I've thought about this before. Because it's not that every founder is more dynamic. It's not that they're better in front of the cameras, things like that, right? But there just seems to be something about it where a lot of founders, even if they're dull, seem to just, their content works really well. And I think that there is something about the energy that you mentioned. I'm not calling you dull, by the way. Like I'm saying, some are. Let's clarify that. But I think that there's something energetically, like you said. I really like science. And we're really discovering a lot of like quantum entanglement of atoms and stuff like that. There's some like you said, some subtle nuance about that. It's like just that slight uptick in the voice or something that it's like, this is a genuine passion. This is not an influencer saying something. This is a founder who is like, I fully believe in this thing. And like, we're attuned to subtly pick that up somehow.
Yeah. And I meditate a lot before I even do ads. I breathe and I'm just like, everything that comes out of my mouth, I want genuinely to help other humans wherever they need to. So there's a lot of thought before I even do it. There's intention there of, I'm not just trying to sell my product to make money. Like I really want this to find the right person with the child who is really struggling and make sure that I somehow energetically can meet the people that I need to meet. So then I can continue to spread goodness with what we're creating like that. So there's a lot of intention behind it. You could call it woo woo, but it's what I do.
I'm with you 100%. I think that the stuff that we used to call woo woo, we're starting to see more and more that there's a lot of science behind it. There's a really good book. Actually, I got it right here. Switch on Your Brain by Dr. Carolyn Leaf.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down.
It's so good. There's some very interesting things in there. It's one of my favorite books now, but there's some studies that are done at Harvard where I think, this is very tangential, but I think you'll talk about like when we think negative thoughts, our actual DNA shrivels up. And when we think positive thoughts, our DNA loosens up. And they showed something like a 400 times better immune response against HIV, like in like this particular, study that they did, like massive difference just from positive thinking. And so I do think that there's a lot more that we're just starting to crack the surface on understanding like positive intent and how that impacts ourselves, like every strand of DNA, as well as people outside of us.
Yes, I completely agree. When I first started the Fidget Game, I would lay in my bed and imagine every child that popped a bubble, that I would give them like a bunch of this good energy of like knowing how loved and intelligent they are. And I used to do that I did that. And then I would go through my first customer orders and I would do like prayers. I know this is crazy on Shopify over all of the customers to like thank them and just think like hoping that this helps them. But I think there's something that's such good intention for every single person that has come into contact. And by the way, they gave me their money, they gave me their money and purchased something from me. And that's an exchange, and I want to give back the best I can. So yeah.
That's beautifully worded. Let's go to UGC because you have an interestingly contrarian point of view on this. You don't believe in paying for UGC.
I don't.
Why not?
I'm like super anti UGC. Honestly, it goes back to like the authenticity part of it. Like I really think we have great products. I think there's a great exchange with someone who is like, I love your product. I want to be an affiliate. I want to talk about your products. It works with my kids or it works with my students. And then I find like paid UGC, they're just not in it. They don't even know what we're doing or what our mission is. And I find it to be really transactional and like in a cold way. And I feel like it's really ridiculous when they give you these crazy high numbers and we've done it before and then we don't get a return on it. And I'm just like, I can't do this. I want people who believe in us and who are excited. And maybe they don't have the best lighting and maybe they're not as put together, but I think people could feel that they're still excited about something. I'd rather someone just post on a Facebook group and say, this company is great than pay $5,000 for a 30-second UGC clip.
For sure. That said, Justin Bieber, e-commerce extraordinaire here, setting records, $15 million in a single day or whatever it was that he just did.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. At, what was it, his Coachella or whatever? Set the record, right? If he all of a sudden was like, I want to produce some UGC for you, right? Like he's not going to have the intent behind it. It's probably going to be successful. Would you accept successful UGC? Would you pay for successful UGC if it actually performed, even if it wasn't as intent driven?
Like if they could guarantee me a number, yes.
Sure.
But yes, like of course I would. If someone's like, hey, if you give me 50,000, I'll give you a 4x return on that. I'd be like, of course I'm going to do it. I just don't know. I just would be skeptical.
Sure.
But I would do it. If I was going to get, a great return on something and I had to pay a lot of money for it, I would. I just am finding and talking to other people in the e-com, they're like, we're not getting, the people who have 1 million, 2 million followers and ask these crazy amounts. And I don't blame them. Like they've worked hard to build their following. I get it. I don't think as many people are even open to listening to them to purchase things. They're just like, this is just another brand. They were given 5,000 or 10,000 or, however much to advertise for them. So it's just not genuine. And if Justin Bieber started promoting my product, it's like, I would want him to care about what he's promoting.
Well, in fairness, it doesn't fit his brand. But Justin, if you're listening, Brandi will work with you. If you were wondering,
if you care
she is
about
considering
education and kids.
She's considering it.
I'm considering it. Yes.
You do some other really outside the box creative that I really liked. You talked about recording real conversations and then turning those into ads. What's an example?
Oh, yeah. So I actually just recently do like reading rescue calls. There was oh my gosh, it's so crazy. I get every week probably hundreds of DMs because we whitelist the ads to my profile on Instagram. On Facebook and Instagram, I get tons of parents that are like, help me. Parents give me their kids' report cards to look through to be like, people get desperate, it's really hard when you're watching your child struggle and trying to figure out how to make things work for them. So I decided I can't respond to all of these every day. It's too much. So I created this reading rescue call where parents can book it in with me. They get 10 minutes with me and I kind of figure out where they're at and what game would be the best for them. So I offer a free game in exchange for recording it. So I record it and use it as an ad also. So if they agree, and they'll get a free game in exchange, I'll record it as an ad. They'll talk through all the issues they're having, and then I'll talk through the game. So it's a unique mechanism problem, and then I'm giving a unique mechanism solution, which is really important in ads, but it's perfect because it's a win-win for everyone.
And it's very authentic. This is like a real conversation that's taking place.
Yeah, you can't make that up. And that's like, and then it gives us the best ideas. Like I had the team go through that and go, okay, we will make ads based on these customer problems because these are real problems. You know, brands start to get really far from their customer. You know, that was always my fear. I was a teacher. And then it's like, you know, even my chief of product was a teacher. And she's like, we have to keep going into schools and talking to teachers. We need to talk to our customers. And you never want to lose sight of that because you lose sight of your audience.
I want to come back to that one. I want to stick on this for 1 second because, like, is there an example of an ad, whether it was this one or a Yapper ad or anything that you're like, this was maybe the weirdest concept we've come up with that worked? Like,
that's good. I would say the weirdest concept. That's a good question. Well, I would say it was talking to a parent randomly, and this like scaled. This was like our top performing ad forever. Also so strange. You're like, why did that work? Why did that one work sometimes? And it was just a parent asking me like, my child's in pre-K, what can I do to prepare them? So it was a readiness ad. And I just like started telling her like, these are the skills you need to know, blah, 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 blah. And that is what scaled. That became like our top performer for like 4 or 5 months, I would say. So yeah, like it's kind of random stuff like that.
It is random. So you just brought back a memory of mine that I hadn't thought about in a long time. You used to run ads for a company called Sellbrite. They were acquired by GoDaddy. And for, I want to say 4 or 5 years, the best performing ad was one that Mike Eugenio made. It was like, he was like our CMO at the time. And he says like, just made like this, I don't even remember, like really, really bad looking ad that was like almost like an Excel spreadsheet or something. It was the dumbest ad, and nothing we did could ever beat this ad. It was like, why is this one? It's like, every week he's like, can we please turn this ad off? I was like, I'm not turning it off. This is the best performing ad in the entire account.
Yes. And I have to say, that's so funny. We had a tech sales letter ad, and that performed like, that was one of our best performing in Q4. And I was like, what is that happening? We put so much effort into like all these other ads. And so, yeah, like just text. Sometimes simplicity. I think we shouldn't lose sight of simplicity in our ads as well. Yeah.
If I remember correctly, you're also using a mix of US and overseas teams, right? Are the overseas teams also for creatives or for other things?
Oh yeah, for a lot for creatives. Our overseas team we have 2 video editors, we have graphic designers, marketing designers, our customer service. Like we have a lot of our team, and they're amazing. I would say there's a bit of a gap between, in creatives, especially for like meta ad creation, but they're really quick-witted and really quickly come around to what's working, and they're studying the meta ads library, and they have come up with ideas that have actually performed my ideas, or my head of creative's idea, who's based in the US, in some circumstances. So yeah, it's pretty amazing once you get someone in, they really start to understand the brand, and yeah, so. Creatives.
I think the thing that I love about that is when we talk about having diverse creatives, one of the best ways to have diverse creatives that are truly, like going back to Andromeda level diverse, right? Which has to be significantly enough diverse. The best way to have that is to have diverse thoughts. And one of the best ways to have significantly diverse thoughts is to have people who did not even grow up in the same country coming up with ideas, because their entire world has been very, very, very different. The TV shows that they watched, the language that they spoke, the foods that they ate, right? Like all of these things played a big role in like their brain literally just thinks in a different way.
Yes. And I have to say, another thing to that is talking to other founders to do audits of my meta ads, and I do audits of theirs, and we have vastly different ideas to tell each other. And that's really good as well. When you're too close to something for too long, like you just don't see things, right? You get too detailed or too caught up in little things, but like from an outsider, you're like, just say that and it's going to work. And it does. So yeah, like different minds, different views on things, people who have kids, don't have kids. educators, non-educators. It's also helpful. Yeah.
How did you get in touch with the right people who were willing to spend time? There are other founders, they're busy, you're busy. Like, you just reach out to founders that you like. You're like, I love your ads. Can we do like this little share? Or is it like this like Instagram pod that you're in? It's like, oh, it's invite only. Sorry, can't get it. Like, how did you end up finding like this group?
I really want to create a group because I think it's so valuable, but I've been so lucky in my ecom journey. I have met people along the way who have kind of stuck beside me and have helped me. Now everyone was always above me and they were meeting with me monthly. One amazing e-commerce group, Very Special Games. At one point, I think they were meeting with me every other week and they were helping me with everything. And then now there's people who are doing, now I'm kind of mentoring and passing on what I've learned. So I'm gathering and collecting people as I meet them at masterminds, at events. And then I just stay in touch. And I'm like, hey, this quarter, do you want to jump in and do a review for each other? And I really think those relationships are super valuable. And I want to give back as much as I've been given. So
you have another really good mentor too, Doug and Melissa. How did that one happen?
Yeah, so Melissa is incredible. It's actually, I was doing a mock Shark Tank pitch, and one of the people I invited was like, I need to introduce you to Melissa from Melissa and Doug Toys. And she did. And Melissa so graciously was like, I can mentor you. And Awesome. It was just amazing. I mean, what a blessing. It was crazy.
What's one of the best pieces of advice she's given you that you're like,
she gave me two really good pieces of advice. One is fire fast, hire slow. And then the second one I would say is no one can copy as fast as you can create, which has been really helpful for a brand like mine, where we launch something a year later, we have all the copycats come out and we can protect, and we do protect, and we have a team of lawyers that really keep things going. And we have patents and trademarks, and we do everything we possibly can. But we also just are like, we're going to keep creating, we're going to keep creating. We're going to keep doing things that, there's unique molds and there's unique things that don't make it as easier to create. But that was good advice. Those two things have stuck with me for a really long time.
It's brilliant advice. So how do you operationalize that? How do you operationalize the idea of just creating new games fast?
Well, we've nailed it. When we created our math line, we created one math game every week, and we had we had a sample in hand. Like, we came to the idea, and by the end of the month, we would have a sample in hand from our supplier. So we have mastered that with my team. I think we're crazy, and I pushed the team to another level, but we've just figured it out to do it.
Like, in order to come up with that many ideas, this is the first thing that popped in my ADHD brain when you said that. I'm picturing Ace Ventura in the second one, When Nature Calls, and he's like, all righty then. I'm like, you're just over here in like this Zen moment, and these games are just hitting you left and right, and you're like, another game idea.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna laugh. I literally have dreams. And I wake up in the middle of the night and I like write down the dream, and then I voice note on Slack to Jessica, and I'm like, I just had a dream about this. We need to do this. And I do all the gameplay, and Jessica really aligns it to the curriculum. We're just this perfect mix. We're the perfect yin and yang, like, in the company. So it's great. But I do. I literally get ideas. I'll be in nature. I'll just sit down in the park, and then I'll look at leaves and rocks. And I'm like, we need to do that, like a certain game. So it just comes to me. I love games.
But some of them fail. Maybe all of that, it's like maybe 1 out of 10. I don't know how many like end up hitting and working, but it's like, so how do you determine, you're like, this one, like, you've got a bunch of prototypes. You're like, okay, this is the one that we're going to go for. We're going to go ahead and make this happen. Like, are you talking to other teachers, talking to kids? Are you doing like a lot of work on it? You're just like, nope, gut feeling, this one's the one we're going to go with.
Well, it's a lot of gut feeling. We've only discontinued one product.
Wow.
So and I think, and people keep asking to bring that product back to life. So we need to revamp it. So I don't want to let it go yet. I hold on too tightly. It's like a little baby. I'm like, I can't let it go. But what we do is we will launch it. We will then do groups with teachers, and we send to parents, and we send to our advisory board. And we have everyone test it, fill out feedback for us. And then for the next mass production, we will get feedback from our customers, from everyone. So that's what we do to not delay it for like 6 months, right? Because if you're waiting for feedback and getting samples to everyone, it's too long. So we just do a low amount production, launch it, see what the feedback is from everyone, and then reiterate if we need to for the next mass production. But sometimes we launch and we sell out in pre-order.
That's amazing.
So
that's so good. So
yeah.
You're finding something that people like.
Yes.
Do you remember the movie Big with Tom Hanks? I'm aging myself on this. Okay, good.
Yes, I do.
Like that was his job, was like, even though he was like a grown up, but as a kid, like his job was to basically like test out toys. And I'm like, I kind of want this job. Like I want to be the kid. Like this, like you have a full-time kid employee who's like, your job is to test out all the fidgets.
Well, like my niece and nephew have to every time.
Okay.
And then we have our affiliates and their kids have to test it out every time and they give us feedback. So they're kind of getting paid.
Yep.
I hope so.
That's a good idea. I think you should put a job opening up for just one kid. That's their full-time job. This is it, full-time. You're in the office.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great. That would be great.
You mentioned part about not being in the classroom anymore though, right? And like that
Yes.
is hard to, like, a lot of founders struggle with this idea of like maintaining that closeness to the problem to be able to know what the solutions are that they need to have. What are the ways that you are making sure that you're staying as close to this as you can?
Well, I actually start for the next school year where I'll be going into classrooms and just volunteering in like low income schools here in Texas, where I'll be working in small groups with kids just a few hours a week. So that's one thing that I recognized in myself, like I'm getting too far away from this. I need to be back in the classroom. So that's what I'm going to do. But my chief of product, Jessica, she goes into her school that she used to work at and she tests all of our products in small groups with kids. They like have given her full pass to go and do that. So she loves to do that after she gets a sample. And then we're in constant communication with the teachers and principals at her school as well, which is really nice. To be like, this is what we need. This is what we don't need. And then the reading advisory board that we created are a lot of teachers and educators, and they're constantly giving us feedback. So like, that's where we're trying to keep close to everything. And any email we receive with feedback on any of our games, like it's put in a channel on Slack. We go through it. We have a call about it. Like we're really intentional about whatever feedback we get. We definitely consider changing our games based on that feedback. Yeah.
But how do you know which feedback to use? Because a lot of people can have feedback. They're like, okay, so it's
intuitive. Like if someone says something, we're like, they don't understand the mechanics behind like what's going on in production. That's not really that possible. But some teachers are giving great things. Like, could you change this into a more cooperative game? My kids are really being too competitive with this. And we do have cooperative games. And we're like, oh, that's easy. We can just do a cooperative and competitive game. And they could choose cooperative or competitive gameplay. That takes us 2 seconds to change the instruction on it. Stuff like that. We're like, oh yeah, we should definitely do that. And teachers are great because they're in the classroom. Like they know it's best. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I want to get into a little bit of who is Brandi Dugal, because I think it's fun to get into the human being.
Yes.
I understand that you are a dissectologist, a person who enjoys doing puzzles.
Yes, I do. I love jigsaw puzzles. I feel I'm like obsessed with it. Yes. So
always have been? Like new thing?
It's I would say, like in university, I was obsessed with jigsaw puzzles. Like instead of going out on weekends, I wanted to just do my jigsaw puzzles. So I feel like jigsaw puzzles, I know, such a nerd. I feel like jigsaw puzzles are a way for me to really, really like make sense of life. And sometimes I even take a problem. And there was one time, this is so funny. I was like, why have I not found like the right life partner yet? And I couldn't finish a dumb 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. I attempted it like 3 times and I'm really good at jigsaw puzzles, but I really feel like I take problems in my life. Then I went to therapy and then I did it in like a day. And I was like, okay, we figured out what was going on there. But I really think it helps me like solve problems as I'm working on it. I think life is a jigsaw puzzle.
I mean, it is, right? Like,
Yes.
you have to find where this piece fits, and you have to see the patterns, and like it is very much so. Do you
Yeah, so
still
you have
find
to fill the borders, and then you have to fill in the pieces of yourself, trying to understand who you are. Like, who are you? You know?
And the picture comes in like little like splurts. Like, okay, so I don't know. I'm not an expert puzzler. My wife does a lot better with these. But I do like doing the borders, right? Like I go around the edge first. And then we typically will like find color groupings, right? It's like, okay, there's a lot of color groupings, so we're going to group these over here. We start solving one color at a time. Is that like how you're doing them too?
Yes, yeah, that's how I do it. Yeah.
So it is like life, right? That, right? Where it's like one part of your identity shows up here, and it's like, okay, this purple part over here is like, this is my poet side, and this is my analytical side. This green over here, and it's like, it does show up, and it's like you develop those different pieces, and eventually it all starts forming like this whole person.
Exactly. I think we are all parts. I think we rarely walk into a room where there is an adult. I think we have like our 11-year-old that's triggered. And like, I rarely think the adult is in the room. And so, yeah, it's just all little parts that are at play. And we have to figure out like when we can take over and like, be self, be adult. It's hard.
I don't want to be an adult.
yeah, I know. Well, that's why I'm still making games.
Yeah. Going back to international stuff, you taught in 6 different countries. You've got some experience in Bahrain and Vietnam. Like, tell me a little bit about like some of these experiences and how they've helped shape what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I have to say I really had a hard time with the education system. So I taught in private schools, public schools, severely low income, like a closet in Indonesia, like where there was nothing. And I recognized through all my experiences that 2 things really made kids engaged and like their eyes spark. I always say that like the education system literally kills the spark in kids, and you can see it in their eyes. And it was when they're doing art and when they were playing games. And that's it. That's where I would see like the spark come back. And, in a typical week of school, that's like a very small amount of time we give for kids. I also think kids should be outside like 80% of the day, like completely by far. I really think they should be running around and having fun, and little boys should be literally just going crazy all day, running around and climbing things. So it's crazy to me that we like throw kids in a room and we're like, you have ADHD. It's like, this kid needs to go run. Like his body needs to move. So anyways, I have a lot of issues with the education system. I think it's very flawed. But after going to all these different countries, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, US, Canada, all over, and seeing that same trend happen, I was like, okay, why are we not gamifying? Why are we not playing games? Why are we not making this exciting for kids to actually learn? And then, I go into the deep research behind it, and the way a child correlates learning and reading and math, it follows them forever. They literally they will have an aversion to reading, to math, to learning if they at a young age felt a lot of stress, a lot of fear. So we're doing a huge disservice to the kids who are struggling, which is a lot in the classroom. So anyways, then I gamified learning in my classroom. My kids thrived. Their grades were outstanding. And that's kind of how I created the Fidget Game. It is how I created the Fidget Game.
You experienced some interesting things, though, too. If I remember correctly, you had a dad spit on you?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. In Bahrain. I did. That was, I have to say those kids were one of my favorite classes though. But I was in Bahrain. I was teaching in a private school, and I actually had a student that was in the hospital, and all my kids wrote letters, as you do when you have a kid in the hospital. And I went and brought him the letters, talking to his mom every day. And I went to the hospital, and his dad was there. And I didn't ask him permission to see his son outside of school. So then he like screamed at me. He spit on me, and it was a whole thing. He also there was a lot of stories, but it was a really interesting moment. I was like, whoa, I'm not in Kansas anymore. Like I am not. Yeah, this is a whole different experience.
Cultural differences are so hard, because things that we think might be completely normal could be rude to somebody else, and things that we think are rude is completely normal to somebody else.
Yeah. So that was, I was just a teacher bringing all the cards and bringing gifts. We love you. We miss you. We're thinking about you every day. Like so innocent. And a big reaction.
Yeah. We do have sometimes things that are just good intentions that can be taken out of context so easily.
Yeah.
You also told me that you had a tough childhood with bullying. What was school like for you?
School was not good. School was a really, really tough time for me. I would say it was like a typical like B student, even C student, most of my younger years, like elementary years. I didn't have like great teachers. I had like my home life was also was pretty rough. And so, but school bullying was really, really difficult for me. So I was made fun of. I had a lot of freckles as a kid. Like they'll still come out in the sun. So I would be called like cheetah. And the boys were just awful to me. My whole, like really from grade 3 is when it started all the way to grade 8. And it was a really tough time. So I would go home and I would like imagine that, well, I would also tell them like, I'm going to look like Britney Spears when I grow up. And like, I was, I had like a little feisty personality, but I would imagine that like, I would be something one day, like I would imagine that they're all going to regret that they were awful to me. And I'm, there's a lot of therapy in that because entrepreneurs really, there's like trying to prove something to the world, right? There's something to that. I'm glad that I found a way to obviously I needed to figure something out. But I did it in a way to help others as well, which I think is important. But bullying was really tough.
There's a lot of research out there that I believe I've heard and read that suggests that you need some amount of trauma to propel you to do some of these things, to get out of your comfort zone. And there has to be almost like a little bit of a chip on your shoulder to say, I'm going to endure the pain of becoming an entrepreneur because it's not easy.
No.
And so there has to be something. Yeah.
There has to be something like really off, I think. Because you're like, you are risking, you're putting yourself through like an insane amount of pain. You have to have like this weird self-belief in yourself as well. There's a lot of strange things with entrepreneurs. And I've noticed just meeting entrepreneurs, I'm like, there's a lot of people that are still passionate about it, but there's a lot beneath the surface on that. But thank God we need entrepreneurs. We need people who are, yeah.
But it wasn't just kids who were kind of mean to you. You had some rough teachers too.
I had some really rough, I had a teacher that made me wear a garbage bag in grade 4 because my shorts were too short, but I was in grade 4, like my parents dressed me. And so I had to wear a garbage bag all day. I had a teacher that asked us to grade her and I gave her an A+, but said like it wasn't fair that this boy was always sitting next to her desk, and she showed the class and everyone's like, that's Brandi's writing. And she like screamed at me and in front of the whole class. That's like, you asked me to grade you. I graded you. Right. And I loved this teacher. I had, teachers where I get something done and I'm really proud of myself. And they're like, who did you copy from? When I show them my work, I've had some pretty, not good teachers.
Is that why you decided to become a teacher? Because you were like, I could do this better.
Yeah, I have so much empathy for kids. Like I almost like wanted to heal that in myself by making sure every kid felt they were loved and they were intelligent and they were seen and they felt good about themselves, because my experiences were just so poor. In the early
you redeemed that though, because you were a great teacher from what I understand. You had kids that were reading years below their grade level and you got them to above grade level. Tell me a bit about like, what did you do? How did you change that for them?
Okay. So I walked into a classroom. This is my favorite story to tell. 90% of my kids were reading at a kindergarten level. 90% at a kindergarten level in grade 3. So it was a grade 3 class. And what I did is I could not figure out these kids. I had ESL students. I had all these different types of kids in the class. So I decided to gamify. This is how I created the Fidget Game. I took all fidget toys, all the things the kids were loving at that time. I gamified the entire classroom for math and literacy. And if you walked into my classroom and said, what's your favorite subject? They would have said literacy block. And
Wow.
I had the kids and they had passports and they would stamp throughout the year and they would go to each center and learn different things. And it was all with fidgets. And at the end of the year in the standardized assessment, 95% of kids were reading at or above grade level.
Wow.
It's my biggest success story. It really is.
It's a huge turnaround.
Yes. And that is through gamification. And then their parents were like, Brandi, over the summer break, can you create games for us? Like, we will buy them from you. And that's where I was like, oh, I need to take this out of the classroom walls. Like, I think this is something. So, yeah.
I feel like you are somebody who studies a lot. You think about a lot of different things in a very deep way. And this idea of things that are almost unconscious in us. Is there a quote that you live by?
Yeah, there is. It's by Carl Jung. It's the unconscious quote. It's not coming to me right now. It's
until you make the
unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So this quote is so important to me. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It's just showing that really we are living in such an unconscious way. We follow rules, we do things, even teachers, education system, everything. And if you start really digging underneath all of that and you bring it to like the light of consciousness, I think that's where we can see growth in humanity and growth in ourselves.
I think that's huge. And I'll even say like the unconscious, like the biological unconsciousness, right?
Yes.
The episode that we just released last week, Rita Ainsworth talks about like going from like the different states that we have within our brain, like this regulated state, but then you've got like I forget what's up. I'm forgetting what they are, but like part of the different like stress states that we are. She told me the names of them, but I don't remember the names. But like one of the things there is it's like all of a sudden when you start experiencing that stress, it's like you're releasing these different chemicals basically in your body that are causing you to react certain ways, and there are actually bodily things you can do. Like she showed us this one where it's like you can put your hands on your eyes and it's like this ocular reset thing, and you're like, there are these things that are biologically taking place. They're unconscious, right? They're non-conscious, whatever, but they're affecting my consciousness. But it's like, but if I can recognize them now consciously, I can say, wait a minute, I know what's going on with me right now. I feel this way because I just read that email that was really mean. And so this chemical is being flooded into my body and I can do this to help reset me. Like that also, like that's not what Carl meant here, but I think that also plays into this.
It does. And another thing, I do brain spotting in therapy, and that's where we look is actually where you can spot trauma in your brain. So if you're talking about something, you know how you notice sometimes you start talking about something and you're staring at a point? When you start talking, you just like automatically. Yeah. So that's directly correlated to like something in your brain. You're recalling the spot in your brain is what you're doing.
Interesting.
Yes. And brain spotting is really fascinating. And, I have processed a lot of trauma through brain spotting. Is when I start talking about it, I know exactly the spot to look at to recall that memory. And then you hold it and you feel where you're feeling it in your body, and then you can process it.
I need to look into this a little bit. I'm also a little nervous now because I recorded myself a lot, and I'm wondering if anybody's like recorded. They're like, I know his weak spot now.
Yeah, I know where he. So I started recognizing on airplanes. I actually always sit on one side because I'm more comfortable looking one way than the other. Because there's like a trauma spot there that's really deep in me, and yeah, it's very fascinating. Something to look into.
I'm not an Ambi Turner.
Yeah.
That's from Zoolander. All right. You care deeply, though, about protecting kids, not just in helping to teach them and educate them, but protecting them. If you zoom out 20 years, what impact do you actually hope this company has made?
I would hope that our company has really advocated for gamification in the classroom, and we see majority of schools and school districts adopting our curriculum, because we are moving into gamification of like the full curriculum, not just like separate little resources for skills. And I would say that I would hope that I have figured out a way to mandate body safety for schools from K to 12, basically, to keep kids safe and understanding their body and body safety, because that's something that's not regulated and not mandated in schools. And I think it should be. So that's where I would hope to be.
I have to be honest, I've never even heard the term body safety.
Body
Like,
safety. So that's like really teaching kids like who your safe people are, really saying the words of what a body part is, because things can get really blurred there. It's something that we're not talking about enough, but statistically we're seeing one in three women are sexually abused. They're like the amount of statistics we're seeing. I think it's a really big part of actually helping to protect kids in these situations. And there's a lot that's going on, and we're not really educating children about it. And I think we could make a massive difference if we could. So I think I want to gamify all the subjects, and then I want to totally advocate for body safety courses in classrooms and teaching men and women. It's important to teach both.
Yeah, that's really good. Again, I have 3 daughters. I think I mentioned that, right? They're 16, 13, and 10. And so I'd like to think that we did a pretty good job of trying to help them that. And you always wonder, it's like, are you teaching too much? Are you telling them so much that it's like now they can't, sleep at night because they're thinking about like the bad things that can happen too? And you're just like, where do you draw that line? And so, yes, if there was a game that could have made that a lot easier.
Exactly. Or it's just always in the back of their head, because like, it's kind of like teaching math. It's like, it's really simple, and then it gets more advanced as they grow up. So it's a natural understanding of things, and it's not an uncomfortable conversation, because parents get super uncomfortable about these conversations. And it should be like, if a body part hurts, it should be like my eye hurts. Whatever's hurting on your body, it should be as non-awkward as saying my eye hurts. And I think there's a lot to that. And if we can start young, it really imprints in both men and women, right? Like both the minds. So that's a big goal of mine.
There's things that I don't think about. I grew up with all brothers, and so like there's just things that I've never thought about. My wife and I last night, we went swing dancing at this really fun little place downtown, and it was a lot of fun. And we had our drinks, right? And it's like I set my drink down on the table, and then we go back out there, and she's like, "You can't just set your drink down there." I was like, "Why not?" She was like, "Because somebody could do something." And he's like, "What's somebody doing to me? Like nobody's gonna do anything to me, right?" But it's like I never thought about that. It's like in her mind, like this is a thing that she knows. She's like, "No, you don't." You don't set your drink down and leave and go do something and come back to it. It's like,
there's a whole level of anxiety, right, that women are dealing with that men don't even realize is there, like 24/7. But
just running in the background.
Yeah. But I think, you have, if you could just really start these conversations early, then people can also like feel in their bodies, like what they're feeling. And there's natural urges and there's natural ways of, like little boys, how uncomfortable when little boys are like hitting puberty, how awkward that time is. Like we should really start to like break down the barriers of that and just be like, you're a human. This is very natural. Let's talk about it, Yeah. So
if you were going to give one piece of advice to other founders who are listening, who might be at the stage, just below you, right? And they're just trying to get to where you are. What is this doesn't have to be the number one thing. Cause I feel like if somebody says like, what's your best thing? I'm like, best? I don't know. Now I got to really do it. Let's just one thing that you would want to tell them.
Just trust yourself. Trust yourself. Build out time to meditate and connect with yourself, because yourself. Don't listen to my advice or anyone's advice. You know what's best for your company. You just built this. You just brought this into the world. You know what's best. Honestly, you'll get good advice and then filter it through you and figure out what the next direction is. Because I think there is a lot of noise and a lot of people have a lot of great advice, whatever, all this stuff. But if you sit and you actually listen to yourself, you'll know.
One of my business mentors, Dave Mortensen, he's the founder of Anytime Fitness, if you know the gym franchise. I remember him talking about almost like that gut decision. Like as a founder, you have to learn how to listen to your gut and make those decisions. And I remember we were at the restaurant, and it's like, I tend to be like, I want to look at everything that's on the menu, right? It's like, okay, now I'm going to weigh that against this. And it's like, well, I like these 2 things, but he's like, you're going to take like 30 seconds. You're going to look at the menu. And as soon as you see something you want, that's the thing you're going to get, right? It's just like, your gut kind of knows, but it's like, you have to learn to be able to start working on like, okay, gut decision, make it.
And your body literally will say yes or no. We all know it. If you can silent and like you literally feel a yes and a no, and it's in you. I think the thing that's hard is that risk sometimes feels like a no because you're trying to stay safe. So really trying to figure out, that is probably the most difficult part of it. Because you're like, is this just because I'm fearful of growing and changing? But you kind of have to figure it out. Go to therapy.
Really yes. Brandi, it has been so fun talking to you, learning from you. If people want to work with you, follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say the Fidget Game Company, Teacher Brandi on TikTok. Even my Instagram, it's Brandi Marie 111. I post a lot of content there, and I do answer DMs as much as I can. It's just usually delayed. So yeah.
That's great. Well, again, thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom with us today. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. This was great. I loved it.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Up Arrow podcast with William Harris. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.